The millionaire yelled at his secretary, but her response left everyone speechless at 3 p.m. The air in the office crackled with tension as Mr. Jasper, the most feared millionaire in the city, slammed his fist on the mahogany desk. Papers flew like autumn leaves, scattering chaos amidst the polished order of the corporate environment. The clock ticked ominously toward 3, but the real suspense gripped everyone's hearts. Whispers slithered around the room. Employees leaned in, eyes wide, anticipating the explosion that surely followed his roar. "Do you even understand what I'm asking for?" he bellowed, his voice a fierce tempest that could shake mountains. But what came next was more surprising than anyone could predict. Elaine, his unassuming secretary, stood taller than ever before. She straightened her blouse, her voice steady like iron. "And do you even care to listen?" Gasps echoed, and a collective incredulity laced the room. Who dared defy the almighty Jasper? Panic danced in the shadows of the room as curious faces twisted in disbelief. The sunlight slanted through the office windows, rays casting an eerie glow on Elaine's face, illuminating the steely resolve behind her soft blue eyes. Was this the same woman whose gentle demeanor had always swallowed her words? She was known for her politeness, but today, something had shifted. But she'll lose her job." Someone stuttered from the corner, worry etched deeply into their expression. It felt like the very foundations of the building trembled under the weight of that bold defiance. The murmurs of "what will happen now?" swirled through the air, each heartbeat drumming louder with intrigue. In those tense, electrifying seconds, the very essence of the corporate world hung precariously in the balance. Every employee felt the tension crawl along their skin, a raw ache forming in their chests as the impossible seemed to unfurl before them. Would Jasper strike back like a viper, or was this the start of a remarkable transformation? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. And just as the room buzzed with anticipation, Jasper's face twisted into something unrecognizable. Was it fury? Surprise? The man who controlled millions, whose every word sent ripples through the industry, stood frozen in disbelief. Something primal flickered in the air. Could this confrontation be the beginning of a new chapter for Elaine? The clock's hands moved relentlessly forward, but the question loomed: what would Jasper's next move be? Would he incinerate Elaine's career, or would he be forced to reevaluate everything he thought he knew? The tension was explosive, the air thick with untold possibilities, leaving everyone hanging on a thread of suspense. Elaine held her breath as the silence enveloped the room. The seconds stretched into an eternity, her heart racing like trapped wings. Would Jasper lash out, or would he swallow his pride, faced with a challenge like none other? The eyes of her coworkers pierced through her, mixing admiration with trepidation. Jasper's jaw clenched. Then, to everyone's astonishment, a slow smile crept across his face. It was not a warm smile, but one that spoke of something darker, something filled with a hidden malice. "I see you've finally found your voice, Elaine," he said, his tone cool and dangerously calm. "Maybe I have underestimated you." A ripple of confusion washed over the crowd. Had this bold move backfired? Elaine fought to steady herself, the adrenaline coursing through her veins. Who was this man, really? The smile twisted, almost sinister, as he leaned back in his chair, observing her with an unsettling curiosity. "But you know the stakes, don't you?" he continued, each word weighted with implications. "You stand on a precarious ledge." A voice from the back broke through the oppressive tension. "What do you mean, Jasper?" It was Mark, another executive whose face reflected equal parts concern and intrigue. "You can't just fire her for speaking up. Jasper held up his hand, silencing the room. Of course not, he replied, a glint in his eye that sent shivers down Elaine's spine. But the game has changed. His gaze returned to Elaine, unyielding and sharp. What if I told you that I have more to lose than you realize? Elaine's mind raced, the implications crashing over her like a tidal wave. What was it that he was hiding? And why did she suddenly feel like a pawn on his chessboard? In this dangerous game, how far was Jasper willing to go? The air was electric, murmurs swirling like a storm. She could see fear starting to edge into the employees' eyes. No one wanted to witness their livelihoods turn to ruins over one bold act. Elaine felt a knot form in her stomach, battling the instinct to back down. Yet, deep down, something inside urged her to press forward. What do you want from me? Elaine asked, her voice firmer than she felt. The vulnerability in her question cut through the room's tension, leaving an odd silence behind. Jasper leaned forward, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Perhaps, just perhaps, you could assist me in a little operation. One that might just change your life and your position here. The twins of curiosity and dread coiled together within her. The idea of working alongside him sent chills coursing through her body, but there was also the promise of power, an unsettling allure that brushed against her ambition. Why me? She questioned, trying to mask her fear with skepticism. Because you're better than they think, Jasper replied, confidence underpinning his words. But if you refuse, well, I warn you, this career of yours will crash with spectacular flair. The ultimatum rang in the silence like a bell tolling for the dead. Elaine's mind scrambled through the possibilities, weighing her options, her entire future hanging in the balance. Would she take this risk? Or would she retreat into the shadows, leaving behind the flickering chance at something greater? And then the clock struck 3, each chime resonating in her core. She faced Jasper with her heart pounding, courage warring with doubt. But before she could respond, the office doors swung open violently, revealing a figure that could disrupt everything, a rival from Jasper's past, holding secrets that could alter the very fabric of their world. What would happen next? Could she trust this new arrival, or would it seal her fate? In that moment, another truth loomed: everything was about to change once again. The figure that filled the doorway was a storm cloud, dark and pulsating with rage. Trina, Jasper's first assistant, an archetype of executive charm and cutthroat efficiency, stared daggers at him. The tension in the room thickened to the point of suffocation. Whispers spread among the employees like dry grass igniting in a wildfire. Trina stepped inside, arms crossed tightly against her chest, the very picture of defiance. I can't believe you're still in charge after everything, she spat, her voice low but razor-edged. The air crackled with unchanneled energy, and Elaine felt it tugging at her, enveloping her in an unexpected frantic energy. Jasper's smile vanished, replaced by an icy glare that could chill a fire. What you think you know, Trina, could ruin you, he warned, his voice sharpening to an almost dangerous hiss. The stakes had just been raised, and Elaine could feel the escalating danger cascading around her like an impending avalanche. In that moment of chaotic confrontation, Elaine felt unexpectedly emboldened. She could sense that, somehow, the rupture between the two was an opportunity, a chance to stake her claim. She glanced at the faces around her, caught between shock and fascination, and something inside her flared. What's this about, Trina? Elaine couldn't resist. What did Jasper do? Trina turned her full attention to Elaine, her resolve flickering like a dimmed spotlight. You really don't understand, do you? He is not just a petty tyrant, he is a puppet master, she replied, her grip relaxing slightly at the opportunity to spill the secrets she had guarded for so long. He plays games. Lives depend on it. Enough. Jasper roared, slamming his palms onto the desk, resonating like thunder in the quiet room. But the impact didn't suffocate Trina's courage. If anything, she leaned in closer, ready to unveil the truth. What is going on, Trina? Mark muttered, stepping forward. The urgency in his voice echoed the questions piercing the atmosphere. Trina took a staggered breath, her eyes darting between Jasper's tense face and the onlookers, gathering her strength. "I can't just stand by and watch this happen," she declared, voice unwavering. "He's been hiding something that could endanger all of you." Jasper's composure cracked, fear flashing across his features for the briefest moment. Elaine caught the tremor in his voice as he attempted to regain control. "You're out of your depth, Trina. Best to leave this to those who know how to play." "Play?" Trina scoffed. "You've twisted every rule just to keep your empire something we all built together. And for what? To watch it crumble into your vision of chaos?" The walls of the office felt as if they were closing in on Jasper. Elaine felt her pulse quicken as a sense of foreboding settled in her chest. What was the empire they'd built? What chaos lurked in the shadows of Jasper's ambitions? "Maybe it is time we discuss this, Jasper," Elaine interjected, her voice stronger than it had ever been. Each word sliced through the tension like a knife, and determined stares flicked between her and Jasper. "What are you truly hiding?" The room seemed to hold its breath, waiting for his answer as Elaine felt the world shift beneath her. Jasper's gaze hardened. "Secrets can be dangerous," he warned, his voice a low growl. "And you'd all do well to remember that." A shiver of anticipation raced up Elaine's spine. The tumult in the air hinted at darker truths just waiting to surface. The anxious mounting tension felt palpable, almost electric, with every heartbeat a reminder of the fragile state they were in. And with that warning echoing in the room, Elaine dared to step closer to the abyss. Little did they all know that the secrets Jasper was so desperate to protect could spiral them into a more significant threat than they ever imagined. Who was truly playing whom? As the shadows drew closer, the game had transformed. What would it demand from her next? With that uncertainty surrounding her, Elaine prepared herself for the upcoming tempest. Would she emerge unscathed or fall into the trap laid before her? Jasper's finger twitched, poised on the edge of the desk, like a spider waiting to pounce on its prey. The silence in the room was a heavy blanket, stifling any hope of retreat. Trina's gaze challenged him, steadfast, as if holding all the cards. Elaine, caught in the crossfire of their spiraling conflict, felt the world around her shift precariously. "Enough with the games, Jasper," Trina pressed, unyielding. "You know as well as I do that you can't sidestep the truth forever. It's time for you to face what you've brought upon us." Her defiance painted her words with a fierce urgency. Jasper's jaw tightened, each muscle a coil of tension. "We are not discussing this here. Fixing this isn't your concern anymore," he said. Yet the way his eyes flitted from Trina to Elaine told a different story. Fear clawed at him, like a dog toying with a bone, an instinctual drive to grasp control slipping through his fingers. Elaine stepped closer, her heart pounding. "But it is a concern, Jasper. If we're all in danger, we deserve to know the facts." The room pulsated with her words, shifting the gravity from Jasper to her, turning an executive conference into a battlefield for survival. A murmur rustled through the crowd behind her, a chorus of uncertain whispers. Was it possible? Were they really standing at the edge of a revelation that could tear their lives apart? Mark's eyes widened, a flicker of realization dawning within them. "Please, enlighten us, Jasper. What are you so afraid of?" Mark challenged, his brow furrowed. "I protect what's mine." Jasper's voice boomed, the echo reverberating off the walls like a forgotten promise. "Each of you were brought here for a reason. If you can't play your roles, I won't hesitate to remove you." "Too late for threats, Jasper," Trina shot back, shaking her head as she moved closer, lips pressed into a firm line. "You think we're afraid of you? That will just fall in line like good little puppets. You've underestimated us. Underestimated me." Elaine felt the tension crystallize, the stakes rising higher. Revelations loomed, ghostly figures at the edge of a cliff, ready to lunge into the void. Each second felt heavy, the gravity anchoring them to a fate they didn't fully understand. And then, in a sudden whirl, Jasper's phone buzzed violently on the edge of the desk. and he almost jumped, his mask cracking for just a heartbeat. With a glance that bordered on pleading, he reached for the device, his breath hitching as he read the screen. Panic washed over his face, transforming defiance into desperation. "What is it?" Trina demanded, narrowing her eyes. It's not just a game anymore," he whispered, dread filling the room like an ominous fog. I just received a call." His voice faltered, the revelation slipping through his grasp like sand. Elaine's heart raced, her instincts igniting. Whatever had just shattered Jasper's composure was about to change everything. Visitors in the shadows, distant threats, secrets clawing to be unleashed. How deep did Jasper's deceit run? What was the risk they now faced together? The moment teetered on the edge, heavy with unspoken words. Jasper's eyes darted, and in that instant, Elaine understood, the real game was just beginning, and they were all players embroiled in a dangerous web. What horrible truth lay on the other side of that phone call? Would they dare to expose the darkness lurking beneath their empire, or would it consume them first? The atmosphere thickened, every breath strained like a taut bowstring ready to snap. Elaine's heart thundered in her chest, a frantic drum signaling the onslaught of dread. The phone sat like a ticking time bomb on the desk, its light flashing ominously as Jasper's hands trembled, hovering above it as if fearing to touch the truth it bore. "Jasper, what did they say?" Trina pressed, her voice demanding yet curious, a tangible mix of anger and concern vibrating in the air. The crowd behind Elaine leaned in, breath bated, everyone hanging on the precipice of the unknown. His eyes darted, wild and unfocused, as he tried to string together the words. They know about the company's vulnerabilities," he finally choked out, each syllable punctuated by the rising tension within the room. "They're threatening to expose everything." A gasp escaped Elaine's lips, the weight of his revelation crashing over her like a wave. The implications were catastrophic: financial ruin, public shaming, lives upended. "Why didn't you say anything before?" she burst out, frustration boiling within her. "We could be prepared. Instead, you've kept us in the dark." Jasper shot her a look that pierced through her anger. "And put you at risk? You think I wanted this? I've kept you safe, but now I can't protect anyone if the truth gets out." Trina stepped forward, her presence magnetic and electrifying, drawing the attention of everyone in the room. "Look, it's obvious we don't have the luxury of time anymore," she said, her strategic mind whirring like a finely tuned engine. "We need a plan. Trust isn't yours to wield alone, Jasper. We're all in this mess together." A wave of murmurs swept through the group, uncertain glances exchanged. Elaine felt the tension pulse, joining the collective anxiety as everyone processed the gravity of their situation. Mark raised an eyebrow, skepticism dripping from his voice. "What do you propose, Trina? We can't just sit here and wait for them to strike. We fight back," she declared, steeling herself against the odds. "We find out who's behind the call, expose their threats, counter their moves. We reclaim our narrative." "Counter threats with what? A bluff?" Jasper scoffed, the defiance in his tone quickly dissolving into the shadows of nerves creeping back in. "They won't fall for it once they realize how weak we actually are. They want a real fight. They don't care about your bravado." Elaine's mind raced. This was bigger than all of them. As the discussion spiraled, growing louder, shifting into chaotic energy, she felt her breath hitch as the pieces began to align. Maybe Jasper was right about one thing: they needed leverage, a weapon in the dark before the shadows consumed them whole. "Wait," she called out, quieting the room, her voice steady. "What if we leverage information? If they want to expose us, maybe we can uncover their weakness first. Find out what they're hiding." Eyes turned to her, hesitant yet intrigued. A dangerous silence fell over them as Jasper shifted uncomfortably, aware that he couldn't dismiss this idea without considering the ramifications. "Say we do get intel, who would we even trust?" Jasper asked cautiously, though a flicker of hope sparkled in his otherwise troubled gaze. "The contacts we forged over the years, trade-offs, friendships, competitors. Trina's voice was filled with determination, the wheels of tactics spinning in her head. We have to dig deeper. Gather allies. Or enemies, Elaine added, a chill undermining her earlier conviction. The walls have ears. We can't be too confident, we may not know who we're really up against. Jasper leaned forward, desperation saturating his features as panic danced beneath the surface. I never expected things to spiral like this. Once they learn we're onto them, it may not end well for any of us. The door to the conference room swung open suddenly, startling everyone. A man stood there, silhouette framed in the dim light, his expression unreadable, but the air around him teemed with ominous energy. Take care with your words, Jasper, he said, smoothly stepping inside. It seems the clock has run out. Elaine felt the blood drain from her face. Something told her this was the instigator they had instinctively feared. What game was he playing? The whispered air felt thick with dread. Who was this man? What fate did he bring along with him? An unsettling sense of urgency struck, igniting questions that begged answers. What was Azer Tech really facing? And how far were they prepared to go to unmask the looming threat? Elaine's mind raced, battling confusion and fear as the man's icy gaze swept over the room. How could someone embody such calculating menace with just a look? The tension in the air was palpable. She could almost hear their collective heartbeat, quickening like a drumroll before impending chaos. Who the hell are you? Trina's challenge cut through the oppressive silence. She stepped slightly in front of Jasper, a guardian ready to defend against this unforeseen threat. The man chuckled, a low, chilling sound that seemed to shatter the delicate balance of nerves. My name is Vincent, he said, voice smooth as silk but laced with danger. And I represent the interests of those who've been keeping an eye on your little operation. Your vulnerabilities have piqued their curiosity and their appetites. Mark scoffed, crossing his arms defiantly. You think you can intimidate us? We're not exactly hiding behind curtains here. Vincent's smile widened, but his eyes remained cold. Intimidation? Oh, it's much more intricate than that. You see, knowledge is power, and the power you're so desperate to hold on to. It's slipping like sand through your fingers. Elaine took a careful step forward, heart pounding as she summoned every speck of courage. What do you want? You must have some reason to come here, lurking like a specter. A simple proposal, Vincent purred. I suggest you come clean. Share the information you've so harshly guarded. By doing so, you can keep your little secrets from spilling, while also gaining favor with us. Or his eyes flicked momentarily to the door. The dread steeped deeper, sending tendrils of fear curling through Elaine's stomach. Or what? She demanded, uneasy but unwilling to show her fear. This is a negotiation, and we're not afraid of you. Vincent inclined his head mockingly. Ah, such spirit. But you'll learn soon enough, fear has its reasons. If you refuse, I assure you, we'll unleash chaos that will make the scrutiny you dread feel like a gentle breeze. Jasper let out a whispered warning, don't give him anything. His voice wavered with disbelief and rage. Silence. Vincent barked, his calm facade vanishing for a split second as he directed a fierce glare at Jasper. He paused, clearing the weight from his voice. All I ask is for an alliance of sorts. Think of it as a business arrangement. No, Elaine shot back, fueled by defiance. We won't play your games. We'll find another way. Vincent's gaze turned steely. Another way? Something tells me you might not have the luxury of choice here. You don't understand the machinations at play. He leaned in, almost conspiratorially. One wrong turn and your world as you know it could collapse. I suggest you think very carefully about your next move. The air crackled with tension as eyes flicked nervously around the room. The reality of their situation tightened its grip like a vice, a war with unseen enemies lurking in the shadows. Elaine's breath quickened as dread filled her. This was the point of no return. Think about what I've said, Vincent finished, embedding a harsh finality in the air. I will be monitoring your every move. With that, he turned on his heel, striding out of the conference room like a predator leaving its mark. Silence fell, thick and heavy, suffocating with unspoken fears. Hearts raced in the aftermath as the door clicked shut behind him. What do we do now? Mark finally croaked, disbelief still hanging on his words. We regroup, Trina asserted, reclaiming the room's authority. We can't let this define us. We have to dig deeper, figure out how to outsmart them. Who else is involved? Elaine's mind whirled. The stakes were clear, the danger undeniable. They were ensnared in a web unlike anything she had ever imagined, but then, a sharp realization pricked at the back of her mind. Vincent's strange confidence couldn't just be pulled from thin air. What did he know? What cards did he hold? Everyone, stay sharp. We need every ounce of strength and strategy we can muster, Jasper stammered, still reeling. As fear warred with resolve, Elaine locked eyes with Trina. They both understood this was just the beginning. Would they crumble under pressure, or rise against the ones who pulled the strings? A whisper of hope stirred, but uncertainty loomed larger than ever. As they began to strategize, a message pinged into Jasper's phone, breaking the tense stillness. Everyone froze, eyes drawn to him, pulse racing. What had he received, and could it change everything? The room held its breath, the next move hanging precariously in the balance. Jasper's fingers trembled as he stared at his phone, the screen illuminating his paled face. Everyone leaned in, suspense electrifying the air. What horrible news could it be? There was a harsh, biting silence that wrapped around them like a noose, each second stretching into a chilling eternity. Read it, Trina urged, her voice barely above a whisper, as if speaking too loudly might shatter their fragile nerves. He swallowed hard and blinked, the message still blurry from the dread pooling in his mind. It's from an unknown number. He hesitated, the weight of the words hanging heavily in the air. It says they know where we are and they're coming for us. A gasp escaped Trina's lips, slicing through the stillness. The sense of safety they'd been clinging to crumbled like dry leaves in the wind. What do you mean they know where we are? Who sent this? Unknown, Jasper repeated, voice shaky. But there's one thing that's clear, we've got a breach. The room erupted into chaos. Mark slammed his palm against the table, eyes burning with anger. Are you kidding me? We're already dealing with Vincent, and now we have someone else breathing down our necks. This is madness. Elaine held up her hand, silencing him with a wave. No, listen. We can't panic. If they know where we are, we need to prepare. We can't let them trap us. The resolve in her tone was a small fire amidst the storm, but the color drained from Jasper's face as he continued reading. There's more, he mumbled, voice slipping into a mere whisper. It says, if we don't meet their demands, we'll regret it. What demands? Trina pressed, dread settling like lead in her stomach. I don't know. There's nothing. About his phone buzzed in his hand, interrupting him. Another message. Their eyes widened in unison, the suspense thicker than ever. Open it. Mark nearly shouted, urgency thrumming in the air. With shaky hands, Jasper opened the message. It says to look out for the sunset. They'll send further instructions. Then Elaine felt her stomach twist. The sunset was only an hour away. Look for the sunset? Mark echoed incredulously, as if he could scoff away the chill of fate hanging above them. What does that even mean? Maybe we can figure it out, Trina thought aloud, but Elaine could see the worry clouding her face. They were running out of time, and the prospect of enemies on multiple fronts buried itself sharply in their minds. Gather everything you have, Elaine urged, moving with purpose as the clock ticked ominously. We need to outsmart them. There has to be a way to catch them off guard, especially if Vincent's people are watching. If we can play it smart. As they worked silently, their thoughts racing like wildfire, the weight of their doom pressed heavily on their shoulders. And just as hope seemed to flicker amid the uncertainty, a chilling thought crossed Elaine's mind: what if Vincent had prepared for this too? What if they weren't the only players in this deadly game? The sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the room in shades of orange and crimson. Shadows sprawled ominously across the walls, seeming to conspire against them. "We have no choice but to face it head-on," Elaine declared, her heart pounding in unison with the chill creeping along her spine. "We need to find out who is pulling the strings. If we don't act now, we'll be left with nothing but ruins." Just as she finished speaking, the lights flickered overhead. Elaine's pulse quickened. With a knowing glance exchanged, the team huddled closer, ready to confront their unknown enemy. And then a knock sounded, sharp and clear, slicing through the air. "Who is it?" Jasper called out, his voice stiffening. The knocking grew more insistent, as if the imminent threat was already at their door. "What if it's them?" Trina asked tightly, her eyes wide with fear. Elaine squared her shoulders, fighting against the mounting tension radiating through the group. "We have to find out. Open it, but be ready for anything." The door creaked open slowly, the shadows spilling into the light as a figure eclipsed the dawn. But just who or what was waiting on the other side? The door swung open, revealing a tall silhouette cloaked in darkness. The figure took a step forward, shrouded in the shadowy embrace of the dim light. Elaine's breath caught, an ice-cold grip tightening around her chest. Could it be a friend? Or an enemy she couldn't anticipate? "Who are you?" Jasper demanded, voice wavering as he tried to assert bravado. The figure remained silent, raising one hand, a glint of something metallic catching the fading light. "Step into the light," Elaine ordered, her heart hammering in her ears. She needed to see the face of whoever had come. The figure hesitated but moved forward, and the flickering bulb illuminated a woman with sharp features and piercing blue eyes, framed by dark, cascading hair. "Amara," she said, her voice smooth and cold, as if made of ice. The name slipped through Elaine's mind like a bad memory surfacing. Staring at Amara, Elaine felt a surge of unease. They had crossed paths before, a competitor in the shadows of their world. "I'm here with a message." "From who?" Mark interjected, taking a protective stance that made Elaine's heart flutter with nerves. "From Vincent," Amara said, a sinister smile curling on her lips. "He is not the only one who has been keeping tabs on you. You've stirred a lot of trouble, you know." Trina shifted nervously, the tension wrapping around them like a thick fog. "What does he want?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Amara stepped closer, and Elaine's instinct screamed at her to run. "He is curious about your little operation, the one you've been hiding here. And I have a feeling he'd pay handsomely for your cooperation. What is stopping us from turning you in?" Jasper spat, barely able to mask his fury. "Because if you do, you'll seal your own fate," Amara replied coolly. "Vincent is not forgiving. You think this is just about you? There are bigger games at play. You wouldn't survive it." The air thickened, confusion and fear intermingling within the group. The clock was ticking, and the sunset was growing brighter outside, the fierce oranges and reds hitting their faces like a warning flare. "What's the catch?" Elaine demanded, forcing herself to meet Amara's gaze, trembling with every ounce of courage she could muster. "You agree to our terms," Amara said, her voice silky, "and we can arrange a meeting that involves Vince. He wants to chat. But if you disregard this offer, I assure you, what is coming next will be far worse than you imagine." "We'd never trust you," Mark replied, his voice low but resolute. Amara tilted her head, as if appraising his bravery. "Trust is a luxury you cannot afford. I suggest you consider my proposal before the sun sets." Jasper frowned, anxiety etched in every line of his face. The flickering shadows on the walls felt like delicate strands of their fate about to snap. "What if we refuse?" Amara's grin widened, but the menace behind it twisted the room into a nightmare. "Then you're just another piece on the board. A violent shudder of panic raced through Elaine. The idea of being trapped, forced into a game with no rules, tightened her throat. A loud crash erupted outside, the sound reverberating through the building. Footsteps rang out in hurried succession, drowning out their thoughts. Elaine's eyes darted towards the window where shadows darted behind the trees. Something was coming. Time is almost up, Amara warned, her demeanor suddenly shifting to one of urgency. Choose wisely. Both our enemies are drawing near. Just like that, the oppressive silence returned, shrouded in uncertainty. With dread coiling tightly around her heart, Elaine turned towards her friends, the weight of the decision heavy in the air. Every second felt like an eternity as they faced her and the approaching darkness outside. Would they play the game, or would they risk it all? The moment stretched thin as each heartbeat echoed in their ears. The shadows loomed larger outside, flickering in desperate waves, as if drawn by the tension coiling in the room. Elaine's throat tightened, fear mixing with the adrenaline pulsing through her veins. "Elaine," Jasper began, his voice low and urgent. "We can't trust Amara. Not now, not ever." He glanced towards the woman, her icy smile still haunting the dim light. "She's here to play us, to manipulate us like pawns." Amara's blue eyes sparkled with something unsettling. "Though I can't blame you for being cautious. But you don't know the half of it. There are stakes here beyond your comprehension. Vincent doesn't just play, he endures and he will take what he wants. You think refusing him will leave you unscathed?" Trina took a step back, the sudden shift in her demeanor palpable. "What do you mean? What does he want?" "It's not about what he wants from you. It's about what he'll do if you cross him." Amara stepped in even closer, lowering her voice to a whisper. "His reach is far. You're already in too deep." The sound of heavy footsteps drew nearer, punctuated by the crushing of dry leaves outside. Elaine felt her pulse quicken. The darkness was no longer just a harbinger of her fears, it was alive, pregnant with threats that loomed just beyond their sight. "We don't have a choice, do we?" Elaine finally murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. The realization crashed over her like a wave. There was no way out. She turned to Jasper and Mark, forcing them to confront the gravity of their situation. "No." Mark shook his head vehemently. "We're not doing Vincent's bidding. We can find a way out without playing into this." "Sure," Amara taunted, the smile on her lips widening like a predator ready to pounce. "If you think ignorance will save you from the consequences of your choices, then by all means. Run. But know that every second you waste may very well be your last." The group fell silent, their eyes darting toward the window, now filled with the shifting dark that seemed to whisper secrets. "What now?" Trina asked, anxiety etched into her features. "What do we do?" Before Elaine could reply, the front door burst open, splintering from its hinges. 3 men stormed in, clad in black, faces obscured by masks, but their intent was evident. They exuded a dangerous confidence, a choreographed menacing aura that made her skin crawl. "Stop right there!" one of them yelled, brandishing a weapon. It glinted menacingly, sending a shock of fear racing through Elaine. "Get back!" Jasper shouted, placing himself in front of Trina and Mark, a human shield. Their collective breaths caught, a wave of dread tumbling through the room. Amara stepped calmly aside, unfazed, as the chaos unfolded. "You see," she said, a note of satisfaction seeping into her tone. "I did warn you about our enemies." Elaine's mind raced. "What do they want?" she stammered, grasping for clarity as the danger loomed closer. "Everything," Amara replied, her voice chillingly serene. "And they won't stop until they have you in their sights." That's when it hit her, the weight of their choices, and she knew. They had to act fast. Their future, their very lives were at stake, and this was just the beginning. "Mark, get Trina out of here!" she yelled, adrenaline fueling her voice. Now. But would they be able to escape before it was too late? The whispers of the night grew louder, and the stakes had never felt so real. What awaited them beyond the threshold? As the masked men advanced, shadows engulfing their figures, Elaine's heart pounded harder than ever. She glanced desperately at her friends, searching for the resolve to fight back or to run, and then, in one electrifying moment, she made a decision that would change everything. But would it lead them to salvation or destruction? Elaine's heart raced as she made her choice. "This way," she shouted, sprinting toward the back exit. Her instincts kicked in, each step thunderous with urgency. The masked figures surged forward, and the air shimmered with danger, electric with the weight of their desperation. It felt as though the world around her blurred, time stretching like taffy as adrenaline flooded her veins. Mark grabbed Trina's hand, pulling her fiercely behind him as they followed Elaine. The scent of panic mixed with the polished wood of the office, and Elaine could hear the heavy footsteps behind them, closing in. Could they make it? Every second counted. Bursting through the back door, they were met with the darker embrace of the alleyway, a narrow escape but a precarious one. The shadows cast eerie shapes on the brick walls, and the dim light flickered overhead like a dying star. Facing forward, Elaine couldn't shake the anxiety knotting her stomach. "Where now?" Trina panted, eyes flickering in fear. "Corner and then left," Elaine directed, the echoes of their pursuers' shouts reverberating in her ears. She rounded the corner, forcing her legs to drive her faster. Every sense was alive, vibrant with the urge to survive. As they raced toward a side street, Elaine glanced back, catching a glimpse of the masked men's figures silhouetted against the faint glow. They were coming for them, intent, relentless. The clocks of the city chimed in the distant rumble of chaos. "Keep moving," Mark urged, squeezing Trina's hand tighter as they dove into the cover of night. Suddenly, Elaine hesitated. "Wait. They'll know we're here," she whispered. "They couldn't make it to safety if they led their enemies directly to them," her mind raced. Then it hit her, a nearby construction site lay ahead, half-finished and shrouded in mystery. It was risky but might offer a moment of reprieve, an opportunity to devise a plan. "Over there. The construction site." She pointed, breaking into a sprint once more. With no time to lose, the trio ducked beneath a rusting chain-link fence, urgency fueling their every move. Hurriedly, they navigated through the maze of steel and scaffolding, the world above dimming with the weight of danger. They paused behind a stack of wooden beams, breath hitching as the sounds of pursuit softened, positioned precariously at the junction of hope and dread. With their hearts hammering in their chests, they exchanged frantic glances, every face lit with fear yet laced with determination. Mark's voice came out, steady despite the surging fear. "Do we confront this head-on, or do we try and sneak away?" "Confronting them might be our only option," Elaine whispered, her voice catching in her throat. "But we need a solid plan. If we're going to face Vincent and his crew, it has to be together." "Distract them," Trina suggested, heart clenching fiercely. "We can lure them away and get to a safe space." Elaine nodded, the flicker of a plan igniting in their midst. "I'll be the lure," she determined. "Get to my office, see if I have any contacts who can help." Mark's face twisted, concern battling with resolve. "No way. You can't take that risk alone." "If they catch you, they're already hunting us down," Elaine interrupted, unwavering. "I have to do this. It's the only chance." Her voice trembled, but she held her ground. Trina stepped forward, eyes fierce. "Then we need a distraction." "I can create one. But I need time. We have to split up. Just for a moment." "Fine," Mark relented, eyes fierce with resolve. "We do this together but stay in sync. No losing each other, got it?" Taking a deep breath, Elaine breathed out, "Be smart. We meet back at the office in exactly 30 minutes. No wait. Got it?" With a nod, they split up quietly, each heart echoing with uncertainty yet ignited by purpose. Elaine darted into the shadows, adrenaline propelling her forward as she changed course. The fear twisted deep as she established her route, blood thrumming in her ears like a war drum. she sprinted toward the street where she could see the headlights of cars speeding by, a pulsating beacon amid the chaos. With every step, her determination lit the darkness. She knew what was at stake. She wasn't just running for herself, she was fighting for Mark, for Trina, for all they had slowly built together. Suddenly, from the corner of her eye, she saw movement. A flash of black. One of the masked men had spotted her. Panic surged like fire through her veins as she veered off, adrenaline surging, gut tightening in fear. She dashed into a nearby alley, hoping to lose him in the tangled bonfire of her thoughts and instincts, but he was close, too close. She could feel it, could hear the footsteps pounding behind her, echoing ominously in the night. With a jolt of terror, she stumbled, nearly losing her footing. But before she could scream, a strong hand gripped her shoulder. "Where do you think you're going?" A voice rumbled, chilling her to the bone, that S when the shadows turned, illuminating in the dim light, with a painful realization the figure belonged to Vincent. The chill radiated off him like a chimera brought to life, a predator intent on feasting on her fears. Before she could react, he stepped closer, a mocking smile curling his lips. "Fancy seeing you here, Elaine. Seems you're quite the firecracker. But we both know, facing the inevitable will only lead to your demise." Desperation clawed at her throat. She needed to think fast, to fight against the darkness that threatened to consume her. "You don't scare me," she declared defiantly, every ounce of courage wrapped around her words like armor. "I won't play your games anymore." His smirk twisted. "You have a choice. Join me, and I might just let you be a queen instead of a victim. Resist, and well, let us just say it won't end well for you." Elaine steeled her resolve, fighting the heat threatening to betray her unwavering facade. "You can never own me." "Perhaps not. But everyone has a price," he retorted, his voice a whisper laced with malice. Elaine fought against fading hope, knowing time was slipping like sand through their fingers. Intellectual walls surged within her. This could be her moment. This could change everything. Just then, a loud commotion echoed from where she had left Mark and Trina, a shattering sound that erupted through the night stillness. She glanced back, a rush of urgency flooding her. "Looks like your friends have decided to play," Vincent mocked, gaze flickering toward the incoming chaos. "Enough!" she cried, defiance igniting within her. "I'd rather die fighting than submit to you." With a sudden burst of strength, she elbowed Vincent hard. He stumbled back, surprise bursting through his features, just enough of an opening for her to bolt past him. "Go!" she yelled, voice mingled with desperation, adrenaline propelling her forward. She sprinted down the alley, frenzy fueling her every stride, trusting that she could reconnect with Mark and Trina. Countering this terrible threat was their only option, but another figure appeared ahead, muscular and towering, one she hadn't seen before. She faltered in her steps, panic unlocking within her chest as realization dawned. They were completely surrounded. Vincent had coiled his allies around them, allies ready to snatch away all freedom from their grasp. As Vincent's smile returned, a predatory glint framed his eyes. "You see, Elaine. Running just leads you back to me." Elaine swallowed hard, uncertainty nagging at her, but doubt gnawed away at her resolve. Just then, a fierce clap of thunder echoed through the night. Rain began to pour, heavy and chaotic, a metaphor for the turmoil that brewed within her heart. In that very instant, she realized, there was hope amid chaos. Gathering her strength, she dialed into her inner resolve. "Enough is enough," she screamed over the downpour. She could be a pawn, or she could rise above. "You may think you've orchestrated everything, but it's not just your game. I will take back control." She raised her chin defiantly, the wind whipped around her, pouring rain mixing with a newfound surge of courage. As Vincent approached, filled with arrogance, the burning flame inside her transformed from despair into determination. "Let us find out who truly holds the cards," she challenged, voice unwavering as the rain fell like a shroud around them. It was time to fight back, to reclaim their fate. She could feel it in the air, the spark of something revolutionary igniting, and she wouldn't back down. In that chaotic moment, united with the storm, something deep shifted within her. This was no longer just her battle, it was everyone's. She gripped it tightly, clenching her fists, ready to face the night together. This was the moment that would define who they truly were, survivors or sacrifices, and as the storm raged on, a fierce alliance began to solidify around her, steadfast and unforgiving against the looming darkness, ready to confront whatever came next. They were a team, and they wouldn't go down without a fight. And there lay the beauty of hope, yet unseen, a flicker of light cutting through the storms ahead. Would they emerge victorious? Only time would tell. Now they were ready to redefine the rules of the game, hand in hand, veering into the unknown, forever changing their truth and garnering a future brighter than they could ever imagine. The stakes were higher than before, but together, they would rise. So, what's your move? And what do you think will happen next? Don't miss a moment of our journey. This is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. And, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to be part of this adventure, so don't wait even one more second. Let us connect and dive deeper into these unfolding tales together.